Vanderbilt has an All-American, a first-teamer at that.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Shout out to the everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Now, today's episode is an All-American type episode, right? And that's because, well, Eli Stowers was selected to the Walter Camp preseason All-American first team on offense. We're discussing Eli Stowers. This is the Eli Stowers episode, right? He's a special player, and of course, he's going to be in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. But who else is joining him? He's a special player. He's, like I said, we're going to break down why he's going to be a tone setter for the offense and what NFL scouts think of him. However, like I said, congrats on being selected to the first team All-American list. That's a huge, huge deal. And the impact of that for recruiting, for everyone's perception of Vanderbilt, because in the NIL era, that's important. And this doesn't happen at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt does not have All-Americans left and right. At Alabama, it's something that you're used to. At Georgia, it's something you're used to. At Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida in some years, Miami in some years. That's something that you're used to. You're used to having All-Americans on your roster every single year, whether it's first team, second team, or even third team. That doesn't happen at Vanderbilt. And for that to happen, that's a huge, huge deal because you can use that in recruiting. You can say, look, and even though they got him out of the portal, he didn't come from high school. It's still the same system. It's the new culture. It's a lot of things with Vanderbilt that I think that you're getting to be able to use in recruiting and for NIL because you can tell kids, hey, look, this ain't the same Vanderbilt that you've heard about for the last decade, and for most of these kids, the entirety of their lives. It's not the same. It's a different system, new day, all of that. It's different. And it's a great thing. It's a great thing that, I was able to talk about this on the last episode. Like, this is an amazing thing, too. Eli Stowers is the number 2 draft prospect, according to Phil Steele. And that's a huge deal as well. If guys think they can still go to Vanderbilt and make it to the league, that helps recruiting tremendously. That is an amazing thing for recruiting. That is something that you look forward to and say, look, I can come to Vanderbilt and I can put out good film. We're playing in the SEC. Vanderbilt is not a bottom dweller, and Vanderbilt is going to start participating in NIL. Obviously, the rev share stuff is going to kick off soon as well, and that's going to be an interesting journey between NIL and the clearinghouse and all that. But it's going to be, I think, this has been the perfect opportunity for Vanderbilt to hit the reset, and Eli Stowers is the perfect person to launch them into a new age, and that's amazing, right? And this is the graphic that, and the social media stuff, the marketing stuff, I think is improving with Vanderbilt football as well. Is it where we want it to be? Well, probably not, but I think slowly but surely you're getting reasons for them to put out stuff, and this is the latest. This is the latest graphic. This is really well done. Whoever designed this, I don't know if it's my man Avery Watson or not, but whoever designed this is amazing, right? And Eli Stowers, Walter Camp, All-American first team. Just think about seeing that on social media. Think about opening up X, thinking about opening up whatever, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and seeing that. Like, hey, that could be me. Like, I could be on a really cool looking graphic like this, right? And the courtesy's wrong on that. I didn't change the courtesy, but we know where the courtesy's coming from. But yeah, he's Walter Camp first team All-American. He's probably all SEC first team everything. He's projected to be a first rounder, and he has a 93 player rating on EA Sports NCAA 26. Like, this guy is special, and what he means to this team and what he means to the brand is also special because with all these accolades come recruiting, right? And being able to get those guys that are next in line. Like the tight end we just broke down, Tilden Riley, a couple episodes ago. It's a huge deal to be able to have guys like that see, hey, here's an athletic tight end. And the way of the NFL, like if he goes first round, like it's really going to revolutionize the tight end position. And it's really going to revolutionize the way teams use tight ends because there's still use for your traditional inline, hand down, master blocker, pretty good short yardage receiver type tight end. There's still going to be tons of use for that. And there's still tons of use for that in the NFL too. I think you're going to see an emergence of 12 personnel because you can get bigger guys out there on the perimeter and you can do a lot of things. And it's absolutely amazing that, Eli Stowers is being recognized. His talents, his accomplishments, and doing it at Vanderbilt. And going from the journey of he was recruited as a quarterback out of high school. Didn't work out. Went to New Mexico State. I think he transferred to try to hang on to his quarterback dream. Got beat out by Diego Pavia. Became Diego's number one target. And that relationship and that partnership and that blossomed into this, right? That's a multi-million-dollar decision. And it's all because he was unselfish. It's all because he had the awareness of, hey, this quarterback thing is not working out. Hey, maybe I should change positions. If they want to throw me in there and have me throw passes, like there's still things that they can do with special plays and trick plays and, gadget plays or whatever to be able to get him to throw the ball, which they did. I think he threw a touchdown pass in the Alcorn State game or the Ball State game. I can't remember which one it was, but I think he did throw a touchdown pass this year in an end around throwback pass, some situation like that. But this is, like I said, these accolades are only going to help recruiting, are only going to help the notoriety of the Vanderbilt program and get them, like they're projected to be in a bowl game. Like a lot of people were trying to say that last year was a fluke. They're being projected to be in a bowl game. So they're not, people aren't projecting them super high. They're not projecting the bowl is not the college football playoff. But to get into a bowl game, you have to go 6-6. So a lot of people are putting the floor at 6-6. This team has a lot of potential. This team has a ton of potential. And I know that's a dangerous word. I've said it before. It's a dangerous word, but it's also a good word. It just depends on how you capitalize on that potential. Do you take advantage of it? Do you not? Right. And so it's good. It's all going to come down to how things are able to operate, who else is around, who else is in the offense, like what can happen with all of that. But Eli Stowers, this is only going to help the brand. All of this. People are going to want to play with Vanderbilt in NCAA 26 because they have like 12 guys ranked in the 80s and maybe even a couple more. And maybe some more in the high 70s, right? Vanderbilt is an 83 overall program in NCAA 26. They weren't that. I think they were 77 in the 25 year. I'll have to double check that. But like the brand of playing with Vanderbilt on a video game, that's growing. And that's huge. Like in this day and age, like playing as Vanderbilt on a video game, nobody does that. But thanks to Eli Stowers and the notoriety he's bringing to the program, and a lot of that's also Diego Pavia. I don't want to take anything away from Pavia. Like Pavia is kind of the louder mouthpiece of the program, and he's kind of earned that. But Eli Stowers is the producer. And because now Diego Pavia is putting all this out there, Eli Stowers and all these accolades back that up to a certain degree. Diego Pavia made claims, hey, we got the weapons. Eli Stowers says, yeah, look at my resume. We got the weapons, right? And it all kind of builds on itself. And I think, and I'm going to talk about this on a later episode as well, like I think there's a culture brewing to where this team is oozing confidence. And 2 years ago, I didn't think Clark Lee would even be around, truthfully. But here we are. And it's amazing for the program. It's amazing for recruiting. It's amazing for NIL. And things couldn't, I think things are on the verge of being really good for Vanderbilt. They're on the verge of being really good. Now they just got to capitalize. But, offensively, Eli Stowers is going to set the tone. I know everybody's quick to say Diego Pavia is going to set the tone. It's not necessarily Diego Pavia that's going to set the tone because he can't do it all by himself. Eli Stowers is going to set the tone, and I think a lot of what happens throughout the offense is going to be as a result of what Eli Stowers is able to do and able to produce from the tight end, flex tight end position. But we're going to break that down next. Wouldn't you love for managing your money to be easier and easier and easier? Like you just click and it's just easy. Well, with Monarch Money, it can be, right? Whether you're growing into savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. And, when I started tracking my spending, I noticed one of the things that was surprising was actually how much I was getting takeout or like how often I was, just like when I was able to, like how erratic I was in being able to pay my bills. And I just noticed that some months my spending is very erratic. Some months it's very regimented. And I think it has to do with the seasons of the year. Like post-Christmas, it's probably very regimented. Summertime, get a little more bump in income. It gets a little bit more like rigid. So if you want that kind of control, and if you want to be able to notice those type trends, you need to take control of your finances now with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. All right, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. If you need a second listen, Locked On SEC is the place to go. Chris Gordy will be at Media Days. Whether he gets snubbed by Mike Elko again, if you know, you know, that'll be a case for a different day. But he does a great job covering the entire conference, the best conference in all of college football and all the sports, really. Chris Gordy is second to none. He leads a group of extremely talented podcast hosts from all over the conference. The entire SEC is just packed full of great podcasts. And I'd put up the SEC against any other conference within the Locked On Network even and say, hey, we have the best 1 through 16. And I'm not even ranking them, but just like we have the best. If you just listed your 1 through 16, if you just put your conference up, we have the best 16 shows. Or 17, really, if you count Locked On SEC as a show. And then our squad shows are outstanding. So you should check those. You should check all of that out, right? But, Eli Stowers, I can't say enough. Congrats on being selected as a preseason All-American. That's a huge deal. It's a huge honor. And I hope you're still on that list at the end of the season. I think you can be. Because you're going to set the tone. Like Eli, I'm saying this like I'm talking to Eli personally, but Eli Stowers is going to set the tone for the offense. Like it's just going to happen. And I know, if you're Diego Pavia and you're hearing this, you're probably like, what? No. Or he may be agreeing. I don't know. But I think the reason why it's not Diego Pavia that's going to necessarily set the tone is because like you need something around you as a leader to help set the tone. Because Diego Pavia can't do it all by himself. He can't set the tone by himself. Because if he did, he'd just be running back around. He'd just be running around scrambling, right? It's going to be determined, like his success, the offense as a whole success is going to be determined by the weapons that produce. And Eli Stowers, I think, is going to set the tone for all of that. Because he is an outlet for Diego Pavia in the passing game. He's actually a pretty good blocker. He's actually not pretty good. He's actually a really good blocker on the run game. I know people think flex tight ends aren't worth their weight and whatever as blockers, but Eli Stowers can do it. Eli Stowers can play the traditional tight end role. He's great blocking out on the perimeter for screens, so I think he's going to be effective out there. I think he's good at catching the screens himself and making something happen. He's great at that. He's great at pushing the ball down a field. Like there was a fade route in the Georgia Tech bowl game where he went up and mossed somebody. Like he's good at that. He's good at finding openings. He's good at understanding defenses and knowing how to adjust his route. Like he has a pro level of thinking and route running and being able to make site adjustments and being able to understand, okay, well, if they give us this certain look and I run this route, like I'm going to have to, adjust here or adjust there or whatever the specific adjustment is, he knows to make it. And Diego Pavia knows that he's going to make it, and they're on the same page, which is why Eli Stowers is in the position he's in. First team All-American, projected in the first round of a lot of mock drafts. That's why he's there. He's going to set the tone. And if he performs well, it's going to draw attention to him, which means, guess where it's not? On the receivers. The receivers that we know not a whole lot about, except for Junior Sherrill. But that's going to benefit those guys because there's some talent out there that I'm going to talk about in future episodes. But there's some talent out there. We just don't know how and where and when it's going to be utilized. But it will be because Eli Stowers is going to command a lot of attention. Cole Spence, I think, is going to get some work when they go 12 personnel because Eli Stowers is getting attention. And Cole Spence is going to be used a little bit more in the passing game. I'm predicting that. I don't know for sure because I'm not in the meetings. But he's going to be used somehow, some way. He's going to make a big catch or two somewhere down the line in a big game. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know what capacity. But it's going to happen. Cedric Alexander, MK Young, AJ Newberry, who's going to, I think MK Young and Cedric Alexander being good is going to help AJ Newberry recover and get back to 100% after his knee injury. And he may be 100% physically, but you're never 100% mentally. So those guys can't function unless Eli Stowers is good. Like Eli Stowers, there's always that person within the offensive skill group that stirs the drink, right? It's never just the quarterback. It's always the quarterback and then when you get a whole bunch of those guys, which eventually is going to happen, because all it takes is for Stowers to have a ton of success. And then you're getting other guys emerge. And then they're going to have success. And then they're going to stir the drink. And then it's just going to build on itself. But it starts with Stowers. It starts with this season. It starts with, can he do it? And I think he can. I think he absolutely can. And he will. Just think, all the screens, all the RPOs, he's going to be in the shovel option. He's going to be the option that Diego Pavia shovels to, right? In the power shovel option, right? It's going to be either a pitch to Seti or pitch to Stowers on the inside, where he's going to hit the center of the defense. Like that was a big play for us. He could be the pitch guy in the triple option. Cedric on the run, Pavia on the keep, or Stowers on the pitch. Like he's that good. He's going to be they can do some double pass. There's going to be a lot of stuff that they can do with that. So I'm really excited about that. I don't want to give away too much if anyone's listening. But he's a first rounder in mock drafts. And I think that's incredible. The one mock draft that I saw was the Eagles picking him at 31. Now I saw one where the Denver Broncos, and thanks to all those draft experts out there, they're putting this information out there. I saw one of him going number 20 to the Broncos. And Sean Payton, he calls them jokers. And it's going to be a really important season for Evan Ingram, because I think if Evan Ingram proves that this joker position is worth it, I think Sean Payton will start building that pipeline of jokers, right? That's what Evan Ingram's going to be for him this year. They signed him out of Jacksonville. That's what Eli Stowers can be. He's going to draft him into that role to where he can, as Evan Ingram fades out, which he will, Stowers will step right in. And Stowers has the size, the stature, and the speed to get it done. That's going to be interesting. Anywhere in the first round, I think you're going to see – I think if Evan Ingram explodes in this joker role, I think you're going to see that become more of a prominent position in the NFL, right? Like, I haven't watched enough of the Raiders to see how they utilize Brock Bowers, but like he's the same kind of cat, but he can also play inline tight end. So he's kind of a unique guy himself. But I think you're going to start to have teams where they have specialized jokers. Like I think the Falcons should do that. They have the guy in Kyle Pitts. They should absolutely, because Kyle Pitts is not an inline tight end. I'm sorry. If any Florida fans happen to cruise by on that comment, he's not. I'm a Falcons fan. I've seen him. He's not a tight end. He's a joker. He should be playing in a system like Sean Payton, where like he should be playing in that role. And maybe with the success, it's a copycat league. Maybe maybe it'll open the door for more teams, which opens up opportunities now for guys like Eli Stowers, who's probably at the NFL level, not going to play a traditional tight end role because I don't see him with his hand down in line blocking defensive ends a lot, like what they want tight ends to actually do. They will keep a second tight end on the roster for those type situations. And they'll have a joker. They'll have a flex. They'll have a whatever. I think they should call it joker. I like that name. I really like that name. But yeah, that was the latest mock draft. I saw the Eagles, I think, are starting to embrace that role. The way they use their tight end is not in such a traditional sense. And I'm sure anyone drafting Eli Stowers will be like, okay, we're going to use you in this kind of a joker role, right? And it's going to be interesting to see how that evolution of the tight end position and the 11 personnel position groups go. Like as far as like what NFL teams want to do with that roster spot, like they're going to have two tight ends and they're going to have they're going to have a guy that can play the flex. They're going to have a guy that can kind of do both, and they're going to have like a blocking specialist probably is how I would see it, that can play fullback in some of the under center power sets and can play inline tight end and be part of the pass pro and stuff like that. And then you have a kind of an all around guy who's pretty good, does things solidly, but is mostly because he's good blocker and he's a good inline guy. And they're going to have a flex guy, a joker that just they throw him all over the place and create matchup problems and create perimeter blocking from a guy that can legitimately push the ball downfield. So I'm excited. That's the kind of thing you're going to see. You're going to see him audition for that joker role, as Sean Payton calls it. And it's going to be fun. It really is just going to be fun for this offense. But, I can't wait to see. We're getting closer and closer and closer. This is going to be a fun year. This is going to be a pivotal year. And, I know there's going to be quite the buzz at SEC Media Days now, thanks to Diego Pavia. And thanks to Clark Lee, who's doubling down on that, which I'll get to that probably in the next episode. But Clark Lee's doubling down on all that. I love it. I'm here for it. But who's going to Media Days? Why are these good choices? We'll talk about that next, and we'll wrap up the show. What's up, everybody? Wrapping up the show here, Locked On Vandy. Thanks for making us part of your day. Like, subscribe, all of that stuff at Locked On Vandy. Locked On Portals, good show too. I didn't mention that one. I was just showing love to our entire list, our entire roster of conference shows. I forgot to mention Locked On Portal. If you need another listen, if you need just a string of Locked On podcasts, the Portals are good, like unique general transfer portal type situation, because that's always going to happen. That's always happening. There's always movement there. So there's a need for it. But as we gear up for Media Days, first we got to figure out who's coming. Who's going to be there? Here's your list. And I think this is a really good list. I think you're in good shape here. I think you're going to get a lot of headlines out of Diego Pavia. I think you're getting a lot of that. Obviously, for what he brings to the table, talking wise, he's made appearances everywhere. He's thrown out first pitches. He's thrown out first pitch. He's been the hype man at basketball games. Like, he's there, man. He's the soul, the heart and soul, and the emotional leader of this team. Eli Stowers, of course, the All-American. He's going to be there. He's the best overall player on Vanderbilt's roster. And he might have been a first-round pick last year, honestly, but he he's going to be there, and he's going to be talking about his journey and his positioning and everything that you want to talk to Eli Stowers about. He's, like I said, he is the best player on the team, bar none. And then Diego Pavia is the leader. He's the face. He's everything that you need in the on that front. And then, of course, you got the guy that's just earned it, man. He's Brian Longwell coming. Patterson came last year. Longwell's going to come represent the linebackers this year. I think you got a great trio with Patterson, Longwell, and Cowan. However you mix and match that group, I think you're going to get a special group of linebackers. And obviously, there's a lot of storylines there for the defense, and you're going to get a chance to really kind of figure out. And I talked a little bit about what this defense is going to look like and the goals that this defense has. I think you're going to learn a lot about the transition from Clark Lee to Steve Gregory and how it's probably not a very big one. I think you're going to see some other things as well. You're going to hear about some other things, and I don't know if there's going to be a fourth player or not. But I think those are, from what I understand, those are the guys that are coming. It'll be it'll be a good group. It'll be a good trio of guys, and you should get plenty of headlines from that group. And so it's going to be fun. It's always a fun event. It's always a good way for these guys to represent the program, to get their media training. We're going to see where they're at media training wise. And of course, in the NIL era, it's all about branding, man. It's all about, what can Vanderbilt do to enhance their brand. They're no longer the lovable underdog sitting on the stoop of college football and SEC, and everyone's like, oh, it's Vanderbilt, right? Diego Pavia kicked that door in, and this team is becoming more confident in itself, and they are learning about this. So you're going to hear a lot about, you're going to see a shift. Like it was a lot of last year, it was a lot of, well, we did a lot of these things, and we look forward to, we noticed we needed to make some overhauls, and we needed to change some culture things, and it wasn't good. We didn't have a good nucleus last year. We have a great nucleus this year. We're going to see how it all fits, and we're going to go out there and compete and just hope for the best. And it was just kind of like that. Hey, we're not. It was last year. It was like, we're not dead, but this year it's going to be like, hey, we're here, man. Like, you better watch out for us, because we're going to come get you, and we're not scared of you. We're not running away. We're not shot. All of that. I think you have to take into consideration when you think about Vanderbilt, and when you think about how these media days are going to go. That's how I anticipate it going. It's going to be a whole lot of brash confidence from Diego Pavia, which some of he's able to back it up with Eli Stowers, and you want that confidence. You want that. You want those messages radiating through the team, right? That's what you want. You have Clark Lee, who I think the light bulb has come on for him, and he loves this stuff, man. He wants to be competitive. He's gonna he's gonna back up every promo that Diego Pavia cuts at media days, and Eli Stowers is gonna be like he's gonna be like I'm thankful, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad, I'm honored to be an All-American. I'm going to perform. Like, this offense is going to be special. Like, we're not talking about how Vanderbilt's going to get back on its feet this year. We're going to talk about how they're ready to start punching with the SEC's elites. Like, we're going to be talking about that instead. And that's a good place for Vanderbilt to be, because it's always the talk of Vanderbilt. Well, really, no one's really heard the talk of Vanderbilt, honestly, because anytime it's Vanderbilt's turn, that's like the media's, okay, it's just Vanderbilt. We're going to take a break. I'm going to go to Radio Row, or I'm going to go write my stories. It's Clark Lee. I don't really care. Right. That's been the overall consensus on Vanderbilt at media days. It's, Vanderbilt, how cute. Right. And, well, we're going to, hey, Clark, are you guys going to be able to get up off the mat ever? And usually it's the same, blah, 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 and then it gets smacked, right? Not anymore. Last year proved that. Clark Lee was tired of it, and he was tired of answering those questions. And he answered those questions a lot last year, and everyone that went to media days with him, they all got asked that. What's different? How's it feel? How's the team? What's the culture like? How's practices been? Are you guys ready to compete? Can you guys handle the rigors of this schedule? The schedule is awful. Can you handle that? Is it, it's good, and then the stories coming out of all of that was, they have confidence, but they're going to win 3 or 4 games and Clark Lea's going to be fired and that's going to be it. He's going to be somebody's defensive coordinator next year and it's going to be, and none of that happened. They won 7 games. Diego Pavia is on a national media tour cutting promos left and right. And we got All-Americans. We've got legitimate draft prospects on the roster. There's a lot of upside here with this team, and we're gonna be able to showcase that at media days. I'm looking forward to it, and this is a good group of guys to represent that. You got the brash confidence with Diego Pavia cutting promos. You've got the humble confidence with Eli Stowers. He's decorated. He doesn't really have to talk. He just points to the list and say, "Yeah, that's me. We're going to be good." And then you have Brian Longwell going, "Yeah, we play defense too, and we're gonna come after you." I don't know Brian Longwell's personality. I'm excited to see that. And then anybody else that might go, I don't know if he's going to bring a fourth, but this is going to be a lot of fun. But that's all I got today. And we're going to continue pressing on. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff at Locked On Vandy on social media. If you like what you hear, subscribe on YouTube, follow it on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, wherever you get your podcast. Just be sure to be an everydayer. Turn yourself into an everydayer because you just want to. This is the place to be. But anyway, I'll see you next time. We'll get you into the weekend on the next episode. We'll get you ready for 4th of July. If you need a podcast to listen to while you're barbecuing, we'll get you ready to roll on that. And until then, anchor down, behave yourselves.